Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and on behalf of everybody at Down in the Valley that wasn't able to make it today, Jacob, Ray, they all had some commitments to be at today, Thursday. So I will be flying solo today. So first of all, Harry, you gotta go with what's doesn't have DMCA strikes against you, and honestly, I like what Stream Beats has to offer. I might need to look more into their other genres of music to see what kind of fits best. But my priority is not get struck by YouTube. But anyway. I want to wish you all a good evening. Thank you all for tuning in today, or if you're going to be watching us after the show finishes streaming live. Thank you for checking out the recording here on YouTube and as well as on Facebook Live. So because it's just going to be me going solo, it's going to be very quick. Hopefully at most. It'll take maybe around 45 minutes to kind of talk everything that I do want to talk about. Huge shout out, obviously, as well to Jorge Peña Jr. Says hello from McAllen, Texas. Let's go Toros. And honestly, I think you can't help but to be a little bit hyped up about what's happening with the Toros. And I do want to address something about that. Mostly due to the fact you guys remember the last episode that we aired last week. Only speaking for myself, I was very critical of this team. Criticized their mentality, criticized the way that they were playing, some tactical aspects of the club or the team going up against Colorado Springs, as well as New Mexico at New Mexico, if you guys remember that from last week. And it seems like the Toros kind of flipped the switch on these last two games. On Saturday against New Mexico United at home at HEB Park. And of course, yesterday against Real Monarchs when they played in Zions Bank Stadium. And a lot of people might say, okay, yeah, it's Real Monarchs, whoop-de-doo, whatever, right? But you have to admit that this Real Monarchs was coming in off of a positive string of games. They were, I believe, yesterday in the broadcast, they said something like Real Monarchs was actually on a 5-game unbeaten streak. You know, they tied against Colorado Springs Switchbacks 1-1. They defeated Austin Bold 4-3 at home. So Real Monarchs really was not going to be an easy opponent, or at least I thought, compared to the other times we played against Real Monarchs, whether here at home or away. So it was a good result. Obviously, with it being Real Monarchs, even with their positive run of form, it was still 3 points that had to be won. One, because of the level of competition that Real Monarchs offers. I mean, no diss to the kids that play for Real Monarchs, and of course players like Kyle Adams that are former RGV players. But at the end of the day, you know, right now Real Monarchs are trying to play the kids. You know, they played a 15-year-old in the game. Past couple of games, they played a 13-year-old as well in league play. So right now their focus really isn't, one, they're eliminated. Number two, they're trying to make sure that the young guys get minutes. And maybe that's why they were in a 5-game unbeaten run. They were motivated to get some minutes and kind of show their coach why they should get more minutes come next season, or you know, if another USL team wants to pick them up as well. So there's that. It was a very good result. But first, I want to talk also about the game against New Mexico United. Now, with New Mexico United, I mentioned that I was a little bit worried about the defensive concentration, especially in the last minutes of the matches. In the last couple of games before that one, we were always getting drawn, or we were losing all 3 points in the last 90 minutes thanks to dumb mistakes, and it was costing us hard. We were stuck in 6th place. Now, we did have the advantage that we had 2 games in a row, which gave us the opportunity to kind of leapfrog back into 4th place. But the Toros, remember, had to do their part. They had to get the wins against Real Monarchs and against New Mexico United in order to be in the position where they are at right now. So, what made New Mexico, or the game against New Mexico United, different? So one of the first things that comes into mind, and one of the things that I was noticing while I was watching, is that RGV really didn't give New Mexico much of a chance to do what they love to do, and they didn't really give them opportunities to get into the into Tyler Derrick's goal. So if you look at the general possession stats, or the general statistics, honestly, as far as possession of the ball, it was pretty equal. So based on that, some of you might think, okay, it was a pretty equal match. But honestly, where that possession was, that's the key difference. If I were to see where New Mexico United was pretty much getting control of the ball, if you look at the touch map, or if you look at the heat map, it really wasn't, honestly, to me, it just felt like there wasn't enough danger out of it, So the only thing I wish they would have was the ability in the heat map and all that to know exactly what orientation they're taking when it comes to, like, for example, are they putting the heat map if they were attacking from left to right or right to left? I wish the USL website would give us that. But to me, and honestly, they didn't put danger on top, or on the Toros. They only had 5 shots in total, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5 shots in total, and only one of those shots made it on target. So it really showed that the defense had the potential to do what they needed to be done, stay concentrated for the 90 plus minutes, and get the result done. I mean, another clean sheet for Tyler Derrick as well. You look at the starting lineup. Obviously, you had Tyler Derrick on goal. You have Babukar Jai, Eric Pimentel, Carter Manley as a center back, and Roberto Albuquerque returned to the starting lineup as a, it says here that he was listed as a midfielder. To me, it seemed more like he was the right back for RGV FC. He was a player that, if you look at his average position, he really didn't go up much to help out on the attack, but he kind of stayed behind to help out on the defense, form that line of 4 next to Pimentel, Manley, and Babukar Jai. That was my interpretation of this lineup, and this is something that I had wanted to see. I was kind of fed up. I didn't like the idea of having to improvise Juan Carlos Azócar and Babukar Jai as outside backs when you have outside backs at your disposal in the roster, which I think would be a good question to ask Wilmer Cabrera after the end of the season, if we make it to playoffs or not, regardless. So in the middle, You had Rodrigo Lopez and Andres Flores as your central midfielders, and then you had on the wing, or you also had Christian Sorto and Emilio Icaza as your midfielders as well. So technically, you had five or four midfielders, with Sorto being the more focused to be outside on the wing. He wasn't really very central, and you could always see that with Christian Sorto. He's more comfortable being out on the wing and coming in and try to open up the defensive line, trying to look for a cross. Whereas Rodrigo, Emilio Icaza, and Andres Flores tend to stay very central. If you look at their average position on the USL website, you will see that all three of them, they're pretty much bunched together as their average position throughout the game. And then you have Sorto way out there, right? A little bit higher up on the field and more out towards the left, right? So, and then up on top, you had Kyle Edwards and Jonas Kjellberg. By the way, I said it once and I'll say it again. Jonas Kjellberg, my God, what a player. We are very lucky to have Jonas in our squad for the second half of the season. I don't know. FC Cincinnati is such a dumpster fire in MLS. I mean, what do you think, guys? Should the Toros try to get an extension for Jonas Kjellberg come next season? Obviously, we know that FC Cincinnati is going to have dibs on him because they drafted Jonas Kjellberg and just loaned him out for RGV. But he has been so good out on the wing. I think his chemistry with Christian Sorto has and Kyle Edwards too. I think they've kind of gelled with each other really well in these last couple of games. By the way, also mentioning with Christian Sorto, he just continues to show and prove me wrong. He has proved me wrong. You guys remember earlier in the season, I was one of his biggest critics, but he's proven me why he has deserved at least the Salvadorian national team to look at him. I think ever since he got that first call up in the last FIFA window, his level of play has improved. He has been able to generate the spaces, win duels, and get some key crosses towards his teammates to put him in a favorable position to score. So he's at this moment he's got that momentum, and it's very important for players and teams to have players get into their groove as you're about to begin playoffs. So Christian Sorto starting to get these kind of performances can only mean such a good thing for RGV FC in their quest to continue to go into playoffs. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be saying stuff just because. But let's take a look at his stats against the Mexico United, because that game was, I think, one of the best I've seen from Christian Sorto in his tenure here at RGV FC this season. I want to give a huge shout out to Mike. Thank you for coming in. Harry says FCC is a dumpster fire. They make the Dynamo look great. So who knows? I mean, it could be. Hopefully, we can able to swindle him away from FC Cincinnati's front office, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so Christian Sorto. Christian Sorto against New Mexico United. Obviously, I want to give a huge shout out to FOTMob for their statistics from the USL games. So Christian Sorto against New Mexico United earned man of the match in that game. He had 2 duels won, 2 shots on target, 2 assists, 6 chances created, 4 key passes, and this is the best part. This is the best part, and it just shows how the mentality of this team has changed for the better, and that is that he had 8 recoveries. Remember, he's a winger. He's a winger. He's an attacker. His priority is to generate out on the attack, but in this game, he was able to commit and help out on the defense and help out Babukar Jai to contain New Mexico United and limit the offensive power of New Mexico and continue generating the attack. It just goes to show, once again, the high pressure from Wilmer Cabrera's tactics, which I'm glad they came back, because that was, I think, the pinnacle of RGV in the first half of the season. That high press from the very beginning of the game that caught other teams very off guard, and they kind of deviated a little bit from that, but thankfully they got it. Thankfully they got it back at the best time, and I think Christian Sorto has been very key to. Harry, I see your tweet right here. He says, "Seriously, local fans, if you wanted to troll RGV fans, Down in the RGV is a great show that gives you the opportunity to do so." Thank you for the shout out, Harry. And if any Seriously Local fans are here right now, I just want to say welcome. We're here. I want to get y'all's thoughts too. Like, if there are any El Paso fans that are watching right now, when we talk about the El Paso game, I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about, number one, what do you think about RGV and their momentum so far? And number two, what do you think Mark Lowry is going to decide come Saturday? Because remember, you guys, and we'll go in a little bit detail a little bit after, you guys have a predicament, right? You can either go with your full starting 11 on Saturday and attempt to be the best team in the Western Conference to get home playoffs advantage for all of the playoffs, home field advantage for all of the playoffs. But if I recall correctly from yesterday's recording of the Striker Tejas, you also need not only to beat the Toros, but you also need Phoenix Rising to lose against Tacoma Defiance. That is a one in a blue moon result for it to happen, you know. So, do you as El Paso fans, would you risk it for the biscuit, or will you play it safe, avoid any major injuries or fatigue on your players, and just focus on getting some of the young guys that didn't get a lot of minutes, some minutes against RGV, and kind of rest your key players for y'all's playoff match? If there are, like I said, if there are any El Paso fans available or watching right now, I would like to hear y'all's thoughts, because that was one of the things that Roberto Silva was asking Joe Rodriguez, who covers El Paso Locomotive for the Striker Texas. But anyway, so going back to Christian Sorto, like I said, there's those recoveries right there that have been very key for RGV FC. However, here's the thing. Going back, kind of taking a break from talking about Christian Sorto, we'll get back to him later on. But one of the things that I didn't like, and it continues to plague RGV FC for this season, has been they generate opportunities, they generate shots, but most of them are not on target, you know, because RGV had 18 shots against New Mexico United. 18. Only 6 of them were on target. You can say, okay, right? So 33%, a third of the shots are on target. 6 shots on target is a lot. as it is. But you have to remember as well that if you're generating opportunities, you have to take advantage. You have to take advantage of them, because you might be on a bad game, but let's say going into the playoffs, you're going to be going against very tougher teams, and like including like Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising offensive power is got to be one of the best of the USL, and if they generate those number of opportunities on you, they are not going to limit themselves to just 5 shots or 6 shots on target throughout the game. What happened when we played Phoenix Rising? I mean, they scored a lot of goals just in the first half when they had all these opportunities to score. You know, off of a free kick, off of a 1-2 passing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things I think the Toros need to improve offensively has got to be get more of those shots, those opportunities that you have in the during the game. You got to get those on target. You got to get the keeper, make the keeper work for it. So if you're generating opportunities, what takes you from a decent team to a great team is being able to take advantage of those, not have pity, and pretty much, run away with it. I think, because the opportunities they are being generated, as you can see by the statistics. 18 shots they were generating in the box, and if you put more of those in the net, that is going to break down like any team, and just leaves them without an opportunity to get a goal and get themselves motivated to equalize on you or turn the score around and defeat you. So that's one of the things that needs to be improved. Now defensively, Toros, what can I say? I mean, the Toros kind of did their job, like I mentioned. New Mexico really did not make them work a lot as we thought. They only had 8 tackles with a 75% tackle success rate. So you're talking about out of the 8 tackles, 6 of them were successful with 10 clearances. So as I mentioned, they really limited New Mexico when it came to that. With distribution, well, let's take a look. New Mexico United had 454 total passes compared to 466 from Rio Grande Valley. Passing accuracy was 76.9%, with 80% for RGV. This is where was the biggest difference. In the opponent's half, 69.7% passing accuracy from the Toros. New Mexico United was only 61%, with 14 crosses from New Mexico United. Only 7.1% of those crosses were accurate. So that's what I'm saying. The defense really didn't have to overwork to limit New Mexico United in this game, and it was just very obvious. It was, as far as the goals. Oh, I mean, what can I say? They were just really, really good goals that needed to be scored on. I'm still kind of sad that they they called back a possible 3rd goal at the end from Vicente Sanchez, but I guess, with a 2-0 lead, I think it's more than enough. I'm looking at the highlights from that particular game. So there was one opportunity in the stoppage time. I think it was a stoppage time, or was it already in the second half? I think it was already in the second half. There was an opportunity by New Mexico United that, good thing Tyler Derrick saved it. Now, Here's the thing. In the first goal, this is in the 46th minute, mind you, 47th minute. It's a team effort. It's a collaborative effort when they're passing it around. Now, I believe it is, well, it's, yeah, Christian Sorto tries to pass it over to Jonas Gelberg. Gelberg is right outside the 18-yard box, waiting for the ball. And there's only one defender with him. And he's not even in a very good position to even make Jonas Gelberg uncomfortable. So he could have received the ball, no issues. He would have given him. He would have had enough time to turn around, maybe get a shot, maybe kind of get a through ball over to Rodrigo Lopez. Well, that's what you would expect, right? But what he does threw everything out of whack for that particular defender, and that is he lets the ball go through his legs. If you notice in the replay, the defender was had already started running towards Gelberg, putting him even more out of position and opening the space up for Rodrigo Lopez, who was running back from behind the play to receive the ball and take that shot past Alex Tambakis. So very good vision from Jonas Gelberg. It's that spark, that difference that can open up those opportunities for you as a team. Before I continue, let me take a look at what the chat is saying. What's up, Mike? He says, what's up, buddy, here at work? Harry, how you doing, brother? But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on what you guys thought about this particular game against New Mexico United. The second goal, obviously, this is from the 58th minute of play. You see Juan Carlos Azócar. Juan Carlos Azócar, keep in mind, guys, Juan Carlos Azócar in this match, he was playing as a right back. He was not playing as a winger. He was playing as a right back. So he was coming in from behind. Well, guess what? Even after running from his own field, you give the ball out to Rodrigo Lopez. Rodrigo Lopez passes it back to Juan Carlos Azócar, goes past two defenders, gets that cross over to the far post, over to Christian Sorto, and Christian Sorto notices that Kyle Edwards was all alone inside the box, heads it back towards Kyle Edwards, and Kyle Edwards slots it into the net. So Christian Sorto has just that vision to figure out who is in the best position to get a shot into the net. And Kyle Edwards, cool as a cucumber, just puts it in past Alex Tambakis. And like I said, from then on, really New Mexico United really did not Okay, guys, if anybody can recommend me some good rechargeable AA batteries for my wireless microphone, please let me know because these batteries don't last long and they're Energizer rechargeable batteries. That's the worst part. But anyway, guys, where please let me know where I left off. Fernie, honestly, I huge kudos to El Paso Locomotive. Honestly, I think that your front office has done a phenomenal job to growing where they're at right now. It's actually something that I wish the Toros would kind of emulate, but we know that it's a long-term initiative to get to where new El Paso Locomotive is on. But glad to see that you're joining us, Fernie. I do want to get your thoughts on what do you think about the Toros so far and what do you expect from Saturday? Do you expect Mark Lowry to go all in and try to get that best record in the Western Conference, or do you think he's going to play it safe and put in younger players or players that haven't had a lot of minutes to try to rest your key players for the playoffs? And I think that's I know I think was it Joe mentioned something about there was a couple of fans that would prefer to lose to El Paso would prefer to lose to RGV on Saturday if it meant no New Mexico United in the playoffs, or as you guys like to call them, Karen United FC. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, guys, let me know where I was at. Yeah. Fernie says, Locomotive fan here, home field for us if we win. And Phoenix loses, but wouldn't be mad if RGV beat us and kept NMU out. Cesar, he says, please tell me El Paso is getting a new stadium soon. From what I've been told by Joe Rodriguez of the Striker Texas, that has not been in the works for a long time. And then Fernie says, Locomotive always struggled in Edinburgh. There might be some changes to the lineup. You know, I forgot to ask Joe Rodriguez to see if what Mark Lowry said this morning after practice, because he did say yesterday when we were recording the Striker Tejas, he said that there was going to be a press conference after the game or after practice, and he was going to ask him what his intentions were for Saturday's match, and then from there he would kind of give what his prediction was going to be. But yeah. By the way, if you guys have not heard, be sure to also check out this week's episode of the Striker Tejas, brought to you by the Striker Texas, where me, Joe Rodriguez, Jonathan Check, and Roberto Silva talk about these matches heading into the playoffs, and of course the confirmation that Austin Bold is heading towards Fort Worth. So that's some fresh news right there for you all. But anyway, back to the game against Real Monarchs. Here's the thing. Like I said, Tyler Derrick on goal. Obviously, you're not gonna move him from there. Then you got Babukar Jai playing as the left back, Adrian Dispe, Carter Manley, and Juan Carlos Azocar. In the midfield, like I mentioned, it seems like you're starting to see Wilmer Cabrera kind of settling in on this particular midfield lineup in a way where he can play Rodrigo Lopez, where he can play Adrian Flores again. No, it's Andres Flores and Emilio Icaza at the same time without having to sacrifice either one of them to play the midfield. And like I mentioned in the game against New Mexico United, it kind of lets himself the way Christian Sorto plays, where he's a lot more of a wide open midfielder, and Rodrigo, Andres, and Emilio tend to stay in the middle. It kind of helps them out, kind of like a fake 4-3-3. That's the way I want to see it, because you keep your three midfielders, centrally right here in a similar location, and then you've got up on top, like I said, you've got your two strikers. Last game it was Kyle Edwards and Jonas Gelberg. In this particular game against Real Monarchs, it was Frank Lopez and Jonas Gelberg. But you have Christian Sorto kind of roaming around the outside on the wing to kind of open up the space and try to take advantage of those spaces in between the defensive line and go for that through ball or for that cross towards Kyle Edwards or even Jonas Gelberg. And that's the thing about Jonas Gelberg. Jonas Gelberg isn't really a target man. Jonas Gelberg is an attacker that he's going to be roaming around. He's the more agile, he's got a lot more mobility that can open up the spaces for Kyle Edwards. Kyle Edwards is that target man. He's that player that you're going to give that ball to and with a cross or with a through ball. And just like he did against New Mexico, he's going to try and slot that in whenever he gets those opportunities, right? So, but this time he goes with Frank Lopez, right? So, RGV, they start off well. You know, it seemed like Real Monarchs kind of felt a little comfortable passing the ball around. It wasn't as an instantaneous of a pressure by RGV. It was not until maybe you got to the 10th, 11th minute where RGV was starting to break down and get the defensive lineup desperate, and they were starting to lose balls, and Toro started to dominate that possession as well. Now, in the 16th minute, you get this opportunity to score the goal, where you kind of take advantage, like I said, off of that wing. What was the problem with Real Monarchs there, right? The problem with that particular play by Real Monarchs, really, honestly, there wasn't much, but the defensive lineup was very open. They weren't in a line. You had a player that was a little bit higher up. And when there was that particular rebound, that opened up the space for that rebound to head towards Christian Sorto alone in the box. Now, you may say, okay, that should have been an offside call. To me, I can't tell you. I cannot tell you because the particular angle they were shooting, that particular instance of where it hits the ball, it was too low and there was a lot of players obstructing the view. So I really don't have like 100%. I'm not 100% sure if it was a deflection off a defender or if it was a pass off of the Toros player. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they were saying in the broadcast that if it is a deflection off of a defender, then there's no offside. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head if they changed that recently, but I always thought that it needed to be a direct pass from a defender in order to nullify a particular offside situation. I think I've seen in Liga MX where even with a deflection, they will still call an offside. But guys in the chat, please let me know if I'm correct or if I'm incorrect. I'm always open to refreshing myself off of these rules, right? But at the end of the day, here's the worst part, I think. Here's the worst part about it, and this is more about the refs. If you look at that particular play, you see the linesman raise the flag and then immediately drop it. I'm not sure if it was a directive by the central official or if he pretty much saw the deflection a little bit too late. I mean, whatever it is, yes, it's a goal in favor of RGV. But let's be honest: if you're a referee, if you called something, stick by it. Stick by it. If you say it's offsides, okay, it's offsides. By attempting to fix, this is just my opinion. By attempting to fix what you think is maybe a bad call or listen to the referee, you end up making two mistakes, right? A bad call, and then a bad call of reversing that bad call. You make a call in the field, you stick by it, right? Unless right after the referee tells you. Because at the end of the day, the central referee, he is the highest authority in the game, right? So even if he doesn't really have to say or to call what the linesman or the fourth official tells them what it is, because like I said, at the end of the day, he is the highest law of the land. But you look a lot worse when you convey that unsureness, that lack of confidence in your play, in your calling of the rules, when you take back that call. Look, if you call it right and you stay there, you stick your guns with the flag up, but the referee tells you, hey, you know what? There was a deflection. It's a good goal. Okay, fine. But at least, you made the right, or what you thought was a bad call, right? But anyway, this isn't a critique of pro referees or anything like that. If we start talking about pro referees in this, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, now I see. So Jelberg tries to pass it towards the middle, and then it deflects off a defender. And like I said, from then on, it was just most RGV. You get in the 38th minute, a good opportunity by Jonas Jelberg gets back two defenders, including Kyle Edwards, causes them to smash into each other. He gets that shot in after cutting inside, and it hits the crossbar. It was just you could say that it was an omen to what was going to happen later on. But here's the thing: Real Monarchs really did not do much offensively. In fact, the goal that they scored was accidental at best. It was accidental because it was a long through ball towards Leo Torres, former SAFC player, out on loan with Real Monarchs. Very interesting. And Tyler Derrick goes up to try to intercept that ball, right? Which is what every keeper should do. Kind of play that little sweeper keeper, but Tyler Derrick isn't much of a sweeper keeper. But at least he's going to go out and try to clear the ball away before Leo Torres gets to it. What does that do? Number one, when you come up as a keeper, you are closing down the space, and you're going to make yourself seem bigger compared to the size of goal. So even if Leo Torres was able to get there first, he would have had to try to chip it over you, and so that limits the chances, and that limits the choices that you as an attacker have to try to get that ball into the net. So that's number one, right? He goes up to try to intercept the ball, but he gets to the ball first, right? And he tries to clear the ball. Doesn't make a clean contact, but it would have been a clearance nonetheless, because the ball was heading away from Leo Torres. But what was the problem? There was apparent there was a miscommunication between him and Arturo Dispe. Now, Arturo Dispe starts running behind Leo Torres towards the middle of the field, right? Towards the box, but towards the middle. He wasn't really staying out. He was, or he didn't stay back to kind of make himself available for Tyler Derrick. Which is, I think, is a good call to continue the play, because you never know, right? You got to have that momentum, and don't get yourself caught by surprise if, let's say, Leo Torres was able to dribble his way around Tyler Derrick, right? But the bad luck was, as he was running inside, Tyler Derrick's clearance hits Arturo Dispe on his side, and it deflects back towards the net and towards the goal and into the net. So it was an accidental game. It was an accidental equalizer that went against the momentum of the game. So honestly, you can't really blame Arturo Dispe for this particular goal. But in the end, you go into the half with an equalizer instead of taking the advantage, right? The 1-0 lead. In the second half, the Toros continued to do what they do best, and that was to pretty much keep possession of the ball. 62nd minute, Jonas Gelberg does the same play again, cuts inside, takes the shot towards the far post. This time, that ball drops enough to go into the net and past the keeper that was Dusnup, right? So, and from then on, it's just the motivation from Real Monarchs just came crashing down, because just a couple minutes later, they do a dumb foul outside the 18-yard box, and Rodrigo Lopez takes that direct free kick. I have to say, to me, it reminds me of those free kicks that you make in FIFA 21 or 22, whatever. It's those free kicks that it's not 100% a curve to the outside, and it's not 100% like a balloon. It's one of those where it's like a combination where it rises and dips, but it also curves. So it was just so beautiful, and it just left Dusnup with nothing to do. Now, could you say that maybe another keeper would have probably gotten a hand to it? Maybe, maybe not. But then again, if you know that Dusnup does not have experience or a lot of experience, and he may not be the tallest keeper, he may not have the best knowledge of where to position himself in particular situations. You saw it in the game where they played here against Real Monarchs. Dusnup was the Hugo Gonzalez Manos Guangas of the USL. It was a game where it rained hard the minutes or the hours before kickoff. In fact, it was actually the kickoff was actually delayed because of the rain and the thunder. And every time there was a shot on goal that went toward him, he wasn't able to catch that. He would just parry it. The first goal was a parry off of a long-range shot by Jonas Gelberg. Leaves it towards Elvis Amo. There was a play that they called, the referees called back for an offside, I think. Same situation, long shot. Dusnup wasn't able to get control of it. Leaves it towards Christian Sorto. Puts it in the back of the net, right? And so you see that right now Dusnup is lacking. And you, as Rodrigo Lopez, with all that experience, you notice that. I say, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna try and get that free kick like that, and it worked perfectly for him. However, I continue to say the defense needs to work on limiting the times that they lose concentration, because a couple seconds before the final whistle, Salt Lake City, Real Monarchs was about to score the second goal of the night. Once again, off of a mistake by the defensive line, and I believe that was Arturo Dispe. It's like he was trying. He has possession of the ball, takes too long. Where have I heard that before? From Adrian Arturo Dispe. Receives the ball, holds on for too long. The attacker takes the ball away and gives the other team a huge opportunity on goal. The shot hits the crossbar, and yes, Tyler Derrick was able to get back to it, but hey, had it been another attacker, had it not been, what was his name? Not Quintero. Was it Wellings? Not 100% sure who that attacker was, but he had a clear opportunity in front of Tyler Derrick. It's a thing with lack of experience. You want to go for, try to hit it as hard as possible rather than kind of like being able to place it around the keeper. And this time it hit the net. But like I said, against El Paso and against other tougher opponents, you give them those opportunities like Adrian Dispich did in that particular play. Oh, they're not going to forgive you for that. They're going to put that ball in the back of the net, and hold on to your horses, ladies and gentlemen, because it is going to put RGV FC on the what's that phrase I'm looking for? Not on the back burner, but pretty much with their backs to the wall. All right. So I mentioned the positive things about the Toros in these last two games. The change of mentality, the change in the fact that they are not settling for a draw, or they're not settling for just a 1-goal lead. They're continuing to push to extend that lead. They've improved the number of shots on target. But we go back to it. The biggest negative I've seen so far from this team, and it surprises me that right now it's Arturo Lopez. Arturo Lopez. I can't English today. Adrian Dispe is the one that is making all these mistakes. He was one of our best defenders throughout the whole season, right? Could it be that maybe he's a little bit demotivated from being benched? Maybe. We don't know. He did have a couple of injuries during the season as well, so that could also be a factor. But at the end of the day, sean peras o son manzanas, the defense need to limit these giveaways, these clear giveaways, especially right in front of goal. You saw it against New Mexico. You saw it against New Mexico away. You saw it against Colorado Springs away, and you saw it here against Real Monarchs. Thankfully, we scored 3 goals, and that ball, like I said, hit the crossbar. But like I said, other teams that have better strikers, they are not going to let those opportunities pass. So, guys, what do you guys think? You know, do we have what it takes to beat El Paso Locomotive on Saturday? As Fernie Rodriguez did mention, he's an El Paso fan. He did say, for some reason, El Paso Locomotive struggles a lot in Edinburgh, Texas. Could it be the heat? Could it be the humidity? Maybe. You have to also remember, we are really close to the Gulf of Mexico, whereas El Paso, they're a little bit way higher out in the mountains, in the borderland. So that could also be a factor. As another factor, HB Park itself, the dimensions of the field, they're bigger. El Paso Locomotive is used to playing in the narrow dimensions of Southwest University Park, you know, and playing in the rough field as far as like the actual grass is concerned, where it's just pretty much laid out in the parts where the baseball areas are on that field. It's not, you can't compare it to the field at HEB Park, which is soccer specific, CONCACAF and FIFA dimensions. So that is also a huge plus, I think, for RGV FC. Now, in the last game, if you guys remember, we killed El Paso Locomotive with that high press. So I think the biggest key to that, to get a win against El Paso, would be the high press. Remember the last time we went to Southwest University Park, we dominated for most of the, if not all of the first half. To the point where Mark Lowry was like, at this point, like, what do I do? Like, nothing I do, like, is working against RGV. The players, the El Paso players that were too busy, you know, arguing with the ref. They were so desperate. You were calling all the, you know, making all these fouls because they were desperate. They had no idea how to counteract RGV's pressure, RGV's defense. Adrian Dispe, that game was on fire, was phenomenal. They had an opportunity to get a second goal that was cleared off of the line in that game. And that clearance off the line, that gave El Paso enough momentum to kind of turn the tide around, and they got the goals that they needed to. Once again, putting in Camden Riley. Thankful that he is not in the starting 11 ever since those dates. So those are my keys. Now, my prediction, I said yesterday with the guys at the striker Tejas, I said it was going to be a draw. Because, yeah, RGV has improved offensively, like I mentioned. But defensively, they're still having those issues with not being able to stay consistent and limit the silly mistakes in the 90-plus minutes. And that has ached RGVSC throughout the season. And is one of the reasons why we have to earn our playoff spot right at the very end. So I honestly think tomorrow's game, or not tomorrow, but Saturday's game is going to be at least a 1-1 draw. And we're gonna have to pray that that Real Monarchs helps us and not allow New Mexico to get the win. Because let's take a look at that actually. Let's take a look at what are the possibilities for RGV FC to make it to the playoffs. So these are all, and I wrote an article, guys. I wrote an article on the Striker Tejas with a more in-depth explanation for Austin Bold, for RGVFC, and for New Mexico United, and what it's going to take for them to make it to the playoffs. But we're going to focus just specifically on RGVFC. Okay? So, if they defeat El Paso Locomotive on Saturday, it doesn't matter what or what New Mexico United or Austin Bold does against Charlotte Independence. Sorry, I'm confusing them. Sorry, Debit, if you hear me from SGL. By the way, Fernie, if you know anybody that from Eighth Notch or any El Paso fan that plays Rocket League, we do have a league called the Supporters Gaming League, and we have a tournament between supporters group from MLS, USL, and Liga MX of Rocket League, where we play against each other. It's fun. Check them out, twitch.tv/supporters gaming league. So it'd be interesting to have more USL teams, and I'd love to have Eighth Notch participate with SGL. So let them know if you have any connections with them. But anyway, all right. Defeating El Paso, right? If you defeat El Paso, it doesn't matter what New Mexico, it doesn't matter what Austin Bold does. They'll be eliminated. We make it to the playoffs. Okay. What happens if we draw? What happens if the Toros draw? Okay. If we draw against New Mexico, or if we draw against El Paso, if New Mexico defeat Real Monarchs, we get eliminated. Why? We're currently at 44 points. If we draw, we go up to 45. But right now, New Mexico is 43, and if they win, they make it to 46. So they'll become going into fourth place. So if we draw, we need to hope that New Mexico draws at most against Real Monarchs, preferably to lose. But when we draw, we can't have New Mexico win. Now, the good thing is, as Fernie mentioned, New Mexico United plays at 6, 2.5 hours before we are scheduled to kick off. So by the time kickoff comes around, the team is already going to know how New Mexico United did against Real Monarchs, and they will know what result they will need to make it to the playoffs. Will that give additional pressure if they find out that New Mexico won? Certainly. But I think now we have we technically, in theory, we're supposed to have experienced players that will be able to control those emotions and continue on as if nothing is happening and get those 3 points. That's pretty much it. Now, surprisingly, even if we lose to El Paso, we can still make it to the playoffs. If New Mexico United are unable to defeat Real Monarchs, so they draw, or if they lose to Real Monarchs, RGVFC can still move on as long as Austin Bold does not defeat Charlotte Independence. Okay? They can move on, but it's all going to depend on Austin and New Mexico. So the less points the Toros make, the more their destiny or their fate is going to rely on external sources, right? Biggest thing is you are given the opportunity to control your own destiny. Take advantage of it. Defeat El Paso Locomotive. There are other options, but priority is get those 3 points so you don't have to rely on anybody else. Now, here's the biggest thing, though, because there was a little bit of confusion yesterday and today. What happens if there's a 3-way tie between New Mexico, Austin Bold, and RGVFC? Let's say RGV loses. They stay at 44. Austin Bold wins. They move up to 44. And New Mexico draws. and goes up to 44. Who is going to go into the playoffs? Well, officially, the USL Championship did mention, and I put that in the article, that New Mexico would be the team to advance into playoffs in that scenario because they earned the most intra-division points. So they won the most points against teams within the division compared to Austin and RGV. Believe it, New Mexico had 39 points and RGV had 31 and Austin had 29. So that's how the tiebreaker is in a three-way tie. In a two-way tie, it is in head-to-head matches. So, for example, let's say that the Toros lose against. Let's say the Toros lose against El Paso. Austin ties or loses against Charlotte Independence, and New Mexico barely scrape a draw against Real Monarchs. In that particular scenario, the two teams that are tied with the same amount of points is RGV and New Mexico. Now, the head-to-head tiebreaker in it, because it's not goal differential. It's head-to-head, and then I believe it's goal differential within that head-to-head. So, in that particular scenario, RGV goes on to stay in fourth place because they earned more points against New Mexico than New Mexico did against RGV FC. So that's how the qualifying system would work for that that fourth place in the Mountain Division. So easy, right? It's going to be an easy task for RGV FC? Probably not. Like I said, I think we have it the toughest since we are playing the number one team in the Mountain Division. But it is very doable. We did it before, the last time they played at home. And I think we can do it again. But like I said, they have to improve on those particular aspects that I mentioned during the show. So Mike says 2-2 draw as his prediction. Bold prediction, Toros win 4-1. That's a pretty good bold prediction. Anybody else in the chat? Fernie, you can go ahead and participate as well. So tradition within Down in the Valley has been we give at the end of the show, we give a regular prediction and a bold prediction, the most outrageous thing that you can think of. Whether it's like 4 red cards, 10-1 loss, or turns out that, let's say, Tyler Derrick gets a hat trick. I don't know. The most outrageous thing that you can think of. That's a bold prediction. So I want to get y'all's thoughts. Fernie says 3-2 RGV FC for his regular prediction. I think it's doable. The offense has got to be on their A game, but it does put in both scenarios that I mentioned, the positives and the negative. So based on that, I think it's a pretty smart prediction. It could happen, but it's also, like I said, it's going to depend exactly on what Mark Lowry is going to decide to do with his squad come Saturday. So be sure to check out Twitter. And I'm gonna ask Joe Rodriguez to see what he said. But yeah, my bold prediction is going to be 3-0 RGV, and you're going to see a goal by I forgot his name. I'm totally blanking out right now. Our center back, from the academy, I think he's gonna get. It'd be awesome to see him get some minutes, and he gets the game winning goal at the 90 or a goal in that 3-0 win. I'm tired, guys. Like, honestly, I had a long day at work. So forgive me if my mind is all over the place. But yeah, 3-0 bold prediction to me. I think I said 1-1 regular prediction for a draw. And but guys, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me just babble on and on for more than an hour. I know I don't have the voice of radio. I know that I don't have the body of, someone that is bearable to watch on screen or anything like that. But it's good for all of us to kind of join together and talk about. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here for the same thing, and that is because we support local soccer. We support lower league soccer, whether it's the Toros, whether it's El Paso, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We want to see the USL grow. We want to see this rivalry between Texas teams grow. And I've always thought, we got to treat each other with respect, and I think that's what sets the USL apart from MLS or anything like that. Is that we can easily all share a beer, before a game. Where it doesn't matter if you're a San Antonio fan or RGV fan or El Paso fan. We can all just chat along, have a beer, have a few laughs about it, and so be it. It's not like an MLS where you've got freaking supporters groups, getting all on each other, beating the crap out of each other. We don't want that in soccer. Soccer is a beautiful sport. Let's not ruin it with senseless violence in up in the stands. But guys, it is going to be a good game. I have to go. I need to get some rest. But thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out, if you guys missed any part of the show, the archive will be available immediately as the live stream ends. Be sure to share this show and the channel with all of your friends and family. Let them know about Down in the Valley. We're here to create a community for RGV FC fans to kind of talk about the team. Let's go and fill HEB Park as well. Let the Valley create the pressure on El Paso. Let's put some fear in their hearts, on El Paso, and get them. I'm gonna say, what's the word I'm gonna say? Put some pressure on them. Boo them when they have the ball. Cheer for your team, etc., etc. El Paso does it with at SWEP. I don't see a reason why HEB Park can't do the same thing. So invite everybody, even if it's your ex, or even if it's your suegra, your mother-in-law that you can't stand seeing her, like, not even as a painting. Invite them over to HEB Park, and let's go ahead and cheer for the Toros and help them go into the playoffs, because it has been a long ass time since we've been to playoffs, back in 2016. By the way, I still have that OKC Energy hat back there from that game. But anyway, let's go support our Toros and have a safe and happy Halloween this weekend. I know I'm gonna try to be dressed up as President Loki, so good luck to me with that. Be safe out there. If you're gonna be giving out candies, don't be dicks about it. Don't be putting in freaking like nails or anything like that. They're kids. They just want to have some fun. Let's not make this tragic, but let's enjoy this weekend. I know we've got also the World Series, but be safe, drink plenty of water, and we'll see you all in the next episode of the Down in the Valley podcast next Wednesday at 8 p.m. By the way, guys, tomorrow, for all of the Rep the 956 tier on Patreon, I'll be doing the raffle. I forgot about it today because I was all kind of last minute. But tomorrow I will be doing the raffle live on YouTube to see who is going to win the authentic jersey for all of the Rep the 956 tier levels of Patreon. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.